The Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal filed by Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, challenging the State House of Assembly leadership headed by Martin Amehule. A five-man panel of the Apex Court, led by Wani Abaji, dismissed the appeal, awarding a a penalty against Fubara, payable to the Rivers State House of Assembly as the first respondent and Martin Amehule as the second respondent. The suit dismissal followed its withdrawal by Fubara's counsel, Yusuf Ali. The Rivers State Assembly has been plunged in a prolonged crisis since 2023, heightened by the defection of 27 lawmakers from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. This development led to contention over the House leadership, with the faction led by Amehule being challenged by a rival group loyal to Fubara and headed by Victor Okujombo. Consequently, Fubara has been conducting the business of the state in conjunction with the Okujombo faction while disregarding the Amehule group. However, this arrangement was flawed in October when the Court of Appeal in Abuja upheld the judgment of the Federal High Court that nullified the 800 billion naira 2024 budget passed by the pro-Fubara lawmakers. On Nigeria Today, we'll be discussing the judgment and what it means for the State House of Assembly leadership, the state government, and how it will impact on the people of the state. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today. I am Ikaria Clinton. With me in the studio for the conversation is Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu. He's a legal practitioner and also a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me. It's a delight being here.
And joining us via Zoom is Obi Ndukwe. She's a public affairs analyst and a veteran journalist. Obi, you're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you, Eukaria.
I'll start with you, Obi. The judgment, of course, what's been playing out in Rivers State. And with this judgment, what do you make of the entire situation, leading to this judgment?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about this. We've been on this for a very long time. Personally, I expected nothing less from what happened at the Supreme Court today, because I've always maintained that there's no way a valid judgment of the Federal High Court, cannot, and which was upheld by the Court of Appeal, based on the orders given by Justice Kayode Omotosho, will just be thrown aside. Well, in their wisdom, I think the governor realized his team and they decided to go to the Supreme Court to appeal against that judgment. But you see, the truth is that there's a lot of interpretations here and there. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been following this matter closely, and with the experience I have, I can tell you something. The judgment they are talking about, which was the basis for the appeal filed by the governor at the Supreme Court, was a judgment given by Justice Omotosho. In that judgment, there were several orders made. People keep forgetting, it was not just the issue of the budget of 2024. There were other orders made. For instance, the issue of National Assembly not taking over the functions of the Rivers State House of Assembly. It was also made, it was spelled out clearly. Why? Because the Amehule-led Assembly had been performing their responsibilities. So there was no basis. Don't forget, it was the Amehule group that filed that suit at the Federal High Court in 2023. And then the court gave judgment in January 2024. Now, in that same judgment, the court also gave the Amehule group the judgment that he remains the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Now, people are talking about, oh no, they have defected. But the truth is that when the issue of defection came up by Right Honorable Edison Ahir, who had claimed to have taken over as Speaker when the so-called defection took place, the court also looked at that issue. And then suddenly, Edison withdrew the processes. The governor also withdrew his process. So they were only left with the claims of Amehule. And based on that, the court gave the judgment and confirmed Amehule as the authentic speaker. When that matter went to the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal upheld the judgment of Omotosho on all those grounds. In fact, it also includes the fact that the governor had no budget. Two, because the court said there's no way he would have presented the budget, not just to a four-man assembly. People are misunderstanding it. He stated it clearly in that 86-page judgment. He said that Edison was not the speaker. In the eyes of the law, he was never there. So there is no way the governor would have presented the budget to Edison. So that alone knocked off, and that was what the Court of Appeal also upheld. Going further, the court said that the remedy was for the governor to go and present the budget before Amehule and the 26 lawmakers. That's what the court ordered. But that didn't go down well with them. The governor, they went to the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal, I remember one of the judges saying, we are not only going to back, but we are going to bite. We are going to give life to the judgment. And that it was improper for the governor, I don't want to use the exact words they used because it was kind of derogatory, that it was improper for the governor to disobey valid court order. And so the court upheld that judgment. Again, in that same judgment, which they went to appeal at the Supreme Court, the court also confirmed that the clerk and the deputy remain the valid officers of the assembly, and not the actions of the governor, which had deployed them and brought in another two persons to work with the three-man assembly. So if you look at it, they're not even talking about Okojumbo. So now, when they got to court, after exhausting the 90 days window or whatever, the matter came up today, and then the lawyers advised the governor, withdraw our own appeal. Now, listen to the confusion. They say
very much, Obi. We'll come back to you. I know you have a lot to say. Now, to you, Tanimu, of course, Obi said earlier that she's not a lawyer, but you are the lawyer. So give us your own perspective on the
I will align myself completely with what she has said. She's on track, and all the points she made mention. What played out in court today is that for every litigant, you have a right to withdraw a particular matter you are pursuing at any level. But if you look at it, the other party must have incurred costs, must have taken some certain steps in defending the same appeal or any action before the court. So as a kind of punishment, so that you will not waste the time of the court and the other party, so the court will now naturally, even though the other party did not ask for it on its own, so Motu can award costs, so that if you are not sure of what you are doing next time, you don't need to come. But if you look at it, the fact in the issue is that what did they seek to protect in this instance case is not really about, as she said, it's a wider issues. We talk about the budget, we talk about the validity of having is it 3 against 27 members,
4 members,
4 members versus 27. So the court has variously, we have to put in summation of every other different litigation that has been going around and come up with what is at stake. What is at stake is that Rivers State have continued to subsist. We all know that if you don't have a budget approved for you, you can use the one of the previous year. And in any case, they've been using the ones that are the so-called one that was approved by the 4 members. And now changing the back of times, you have contractual obligation with other third parties. They don't even know what is happening.
Now, Tanimu, with this judgment, what does it imply in terms of the budget?
Yes.
Of now, explain to us, do they have a budget?
You see, in the context of the law, You cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. They don't have a budget. But in reality, these are things that have been overtaken by events. Awards have been, contracts have been given, awards have been given, award letters, and payments have been made. So you going back to now set it aside. You know, the effect of this kind of judgment, it doesn't go to the merit of the case. What happened is that the other party decided not to proceed any longer. It would have been different if maybe the Supreme Court is giving judgment on the full merit, where every aspect of the issue at hand will be tackled individually. But for now, we rely on what obtains at the Court of Appeal, which is against the interests of the governor. So the governor, for me, should make peace. Go back to the National Assembly. They still have time. They could, if 2024 is gone, they should make amends and present for 2025.
Now, before we bring Obi back, you know, the budget we're talking about is the 2024 budget, and now we are about to, you know, start presenting the 2025 budget. Sure. Now, explain to us, does it mean that with this judgment, the governor is going to represent the budget of 2024 or the one of 2025?
The point I'm trying to make is that ordinarily there should be consequential effects to the judgment, but who is going to do it? I don't think anybody will be more interested in it. There are things that have been overtaken by event. You don't want to now change the time, the clock of time. You just want to move ahead. If I'm in the governor's position, I think he should move ahead. All what has been done in 2024 can still be inculcated in 2025, but he should make a proper presentation before the complete house. He can even cure for what has happened in 2024, and they move on. The going about litigation, the litigation will not ordinarily resolve all political issues to fruition. Parties must still engage and they must still talk to one another.
Now, back to you, Obi. With your vast knowledge of how politics play out in Rivers State, now with this judgment, how will this impact the political landscape of Rivers State?
Yeah, well, different people want to interpret judgments the way they want. People on different sides, you know, and then everybody wants to take what actually suits them, you know. But it's not about sentiment. It's not about our own individual interpretations. It's about what the law says, you know. Like the lawyer in the studio, he has said that it's been overtaken by events. And I asked, what has been overtaken by events? It's not the budget of 2024 it's the only thing that is contained in that appeal. There were other issues, there were other grounds which the governor lost. Now you are talking about presenting budget to the complete house, which means you are accepting that the judgment of the Federal High Court stands. You are also accepting that the Court of Appeal validation of that judgment also stands. Now let me tell you, when a court gives a judgment, it is only a higher court that can invalidate it. And if there's no other court that invalidates it, what it means is that that judgment still stands. And when people say it's been overtaken by events, let's even agree, assuming without conceding, that we are talking about only the 2024 budget. When was the judgment given? This same judgment you are appealing against was given in January 2024. Then we had not even started the judgment, the budget was not yet even enforced. So what are we talking about? So when people say, oh no, okay, let's move on. Let's move on means you're talking about a political solution. But at this time, I don't know if there's still room for that. You know, so for the average Rivers man, it's actually where you decide to, you know, pitch your tent. But it is not so. And I believe that by the time the Supreme Court completes, gives their judgment on the remaining issues, because I can tell you, out of 5 of that matter, 3 are also centered around this same issue. One thing that is clear today is that the leadership of Amehule has been confirmed. There's no other court order that has invalidated what Omotosho did and what the Court of Appeal has done. But I had always said in the past, instead of all these litigations, they could also meet and then find a way to resolve. Unfortunately, There are crisis entrepreneurs who will say, no, let's go ahead and go to court, we're going to win. So now the Supreme Court has said, when you withdraw your matter and it's not heard, it's as good as saying you have lost your listing. I am not a lawyer, but I can also refer you to the Court of Appeal judgment, where it was raised the issue of withdrawal, because don't forget that even ADC and the governor withdrew their processes from the Federal High Court. And so when the appeal court looked into that matter, it sustained the judgment of Omotosho, where it quoted in Iyoho versus Ethium 2007. It said, a decision of court not appealed against is deemed accepted by the party against whom the decision was entered and is therefore binding. So the decision of the court, the High Court and the Court of Appeal is binding on the state government. People should not be taking it out of context. You talk about Budget 24. There were other issues. The issues remain that Martin is the leader. The National Assembly could not take over. There was no budget. There should be a presentation of the budget. That's where we now have that kind of the crisis, a kind of constitutional crisis. The question is, will the governor obey the court order that is binding on him?
Okay, it's like we have a little bit of a network issue there, but we'll take a breather here, and the conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
Implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that are questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we are looking at the Supreme Court judgment on Rivers State Assembly crisis. And of course, I have here with me a gentleman in the studio, and via Zoom we have a lady. Now, Tanim, of course, you had quite a lot of things that Obi put up there, but then there's something I really wanted to, make us understand here. Is that the counsel to the third and the 12th respondent, JB Dauda SAN, had called for dismissal of the case as against striking out. Now, we want to know what's the difference between, you strike out or you dismiss.
Okay, you see, when a case is dismissed, it means the case has come to its finality. Striking out, you say for now. You want to go, and if there are issues that you need to correct, if there are attachments, if there are documents that you need to exhibit, if there are new facts that you need to present, and because you have already gone far with the case, you cannot ordinarily make such kind of presentation. So you rather withdraw, go back, correct the things you need to correct, and refile. So in this instance case, the dismissal is okay. It puts the finality to it. Striking out, you can still come by way of an application to the same court that you have new grounds, you have cogent reasons, you have genuine reasons that the court should look at it and look at the matter from a different perspective based on the new issues, the new facts that you have been able to put together. I agree with what you said, that it has a lot, most times, most judgment has other consequential effect. If the case is dismissed, it means the judgment at the appeal court now stands against the other party, and it means they should now, ordinarily we are expected, especially the executive arm, they are expected to implement to the latter what the pronouncements of courts are. For in Nigeria, we don't have, we have the Sheriff and Civil Processes Act, but we don't have a component, a very independent enforcement unit. We still, the judiciary still depend on the executive, this time around the police, those in the executive arm, to implement its judgment. And for some judgment to implement it, you have to look at it holistically. Some, you might have a judgment, but it will be difficult for you to enforce such kind of judgment, especially if we have something we call the res, like you are trying to protect a property, what happens if the property is destroyed? It means the res has been destroyed. There's no amount of judgment that will put it back to the exactitude of how it ought to be. So there are some judgments, we see the law is very logical. There are some judgments that no matter how beautiful it's couched, you cannot implement it to the fullest, but at least you give life and give effect. In this instance case, we know as a matter of fact that the 27 House of Assembly, State of Assembly members, they were all going back. They remain in their position. The governor needs to now look for a political solution, because routing all disagreements through the ambit of the judiciary to not really go well in terms of effective administration of this. That's why when I say we don't want the judiciary always to be dragged into leaders should be able to lead by example and show good leadership and skills. We should reduce the level of litigation. It's not on every matter that you must litigate upon, and you want the judiciary to make pronouncement. As a leader, as a governor, you should be able to know. You might have disagreement with your political godfathers, but you could equally change the tide so that you have an administration that will reflect on the yearnings and judiciary will not be the opportunity, will not create that avenue. It's about reaching out. They all have their differences, but they could sit down and iron things out and so that the people of Rivers State and Nigeria in general will benefit from the dividends of democracy.
Thank you very much. Now, I'll be back to you. You know, of course, you said quite a lot of things, you know, that's been playing out in Rivers State. Now, Tanimu has said the governor should look for a political solution. Do you see this happening in this case? You know, do you see a possibility where, you know, the governor and, of course, the other party will find a common ground to resolve this issue and let peace reign in Rivers State?
Well, I think that I'm not going to say to the contrary that, I mean, the governor cannot find ways. It's all about politics. But you see, it's gone beyond politics now. It's about the legal implications of this. It's clear. If you look at the legal implications, that's where the problem actually starts. Is the governor prepared to allow Amewule and 27 others to continue to function? Don't forget that even by this withdrawal of his appeal against the judgment of the Federal High Court, what it also means is that every resolution passed by Amewule within the period stands. Every resolution passed by Edison Ehe or Oko Jumbo are null and void. So you can see where the complications, the issue of clear budget presentation, screening of commissioners and the other appointees and all whatnot. So they are all a nullity. That's what it means. So it's a serious crisis situation, and which I had always preached that the political solution would be the best. But you see, like I said on another station, many people prefer the noise. People prefer, you know, a whole jumble of sound waves where something that does not have any taproot. But like I said, the law, at the end of the day, will favor those who have chosen the path of the law. They may not have very many people supporting them in the public domain because, you see, I'm sorry to say this, even some of the senior advocates who comment on these things do not have the facts of the matter. Some are just being economical with the truth. I have said it here. The appeal filed has nothing to do with just the budget of 2024.
Thank you very much. That was Obi Ndukwe. She's a public affairs analyst and a veteran journalist. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And here in the studio, I have with me Ahmad Abubakar Tanimu, a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And thank you for being part of the program. Remember, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I'm Victoria Clinton. Goodbye.